Questo è un luogo che genera dialogo,
Qualcuno che si impegna, che si batte,
che approfondisce la conoscenza e sostiene la fiducia. È un crocevia dove si incontra chi desidera il vero, il bello, il giusto e il bene. È una testimonianza di speranza nel cuore ferito del presente. E tutto questo
Proporre con la propria vita
esiste anche grazie a te.
Buonasera e benvenuti a questo incontro.
Buonasera.
So good afternoon. So some images immediately let us think about the title of this meeting. And these are images, pictures, terrible pictures that come from places like Gaza, a suffering land, and before Gaza, from the Ukraine. After Russia's aggression in February 2022, everything started well before that year, in 2014. But images that we receive every day from there, and we run the risk of getting accustomed to them, of getting used to them, do actually refer to the need to rebuild in the desert. They sort of scream this extreme need to rebuild. So the guests we're having with us today will lead us through some of these places. Please have a big round of applause for our guest. We are really grateful for being with us. Katerina Gardieva is a very important journalist. She's a TV journalist and she's Russian. She was born in Rostov-on-Don, so not so many kilometers away from the Ukraine, actually 90 kilometers away from the border with Ukraine. And in her roots, she has both Russian and Ukrainian history. So the book we're going to talk about this evening is devoted to your grandmothers. One of your grandmothers was born in the Ukraine and died in Russia, and the other grandmother did the other way around. So actually both countries are in her. So you can easily imagine how difficult it is to deal with these topics having both of these peoples in your heart. Katerina has long served in the Russian TV. She was in Chechnya, in Afghanistan. And then in 2014, when everything started, when the war in Donbass started, she decided to leave Russia, and she'll explain us why. She became an independent journalist. She opened her own YouTube channel, 1.9 million subscribers, to be precise. We hope there will be more than that. I think after this evening's encounter, we're going to have 3 million. 1.9 is a bit. And actually, she produces documentaries on this TV channel. She produces films. Thanks to this work of hers, she's been awarded with lots of prizes. She was awarded with the Anna Politkovskaya Prize. She won the prize entitled after the name of the brothers Scholl. And when the war in the Ukraine started, she decided to do a documentary on what was happening. So she left to try and tell the stories of the people who were living in the first place what was happening. The feature of her work is precisely this, as she writes in the preamble to her work, as Svetlana Alexievich, Nobel Prize winner 2015, writes. She writes, one day people will study history, will learn history, reading it in the books of Katerina, the history of people not waging war, but the people in war. Actually, this book is really amazing. This is a book that was written after the documentary. It leads us through the lives of these people. It shows you war out of the maps of Donbass and the TV shows, and it shows you what war really is. Before the book, we had a documentary. So that's why I'd like to actually show you a bit of this film from which this book was then created. People, future, family, truth, hope, love, house, war and the people. I raised my head and I saw that there was an old Soviet car, like the Ziguli type, a Ziguli car or something like that. Then the man who was driving it, I had never seen him before, and he told me, women and children come with me. So I get into the car with my kid, my mom, and actually this guy drives us away. I don't know where he's driving us. What do you feel being loaded into the car of somebody whom you do not know? I mean, as a wife, your children and your actually, you don't feel anything. Only afterwards you understand. You start understanding. You understand that you have not greeted them. You have not greeted them. I mean, in that moment, I understood it. All the other ones, so my eldest daughter, my husband, they stayed there, and I was leaving. They were staying there, and I was leaving. That man saved our life. When he came back to Visegrad, they shot to his car, and he died. At a checkpoint, an old man told us, good morning. We were told not to look them in the eyes and actually to kneel our gaze down, to keep our gaze down, or to look aside. Otherwise, they understand what we think. So they opened the door, and he said, good morning. And then he said, please wear your hood. So I put on my hood without looking him in the eyes. The others opened the car to check what was there. And actually, I was after him, and I saw two corpses of very, very small children. One of them was entirely burnt, and the other was unrecognizable. Their car had exploded. And everything, at just one step from that man, and then a bit far away from there, there was a 50-year-old kid covered by a white sheet. Actually, he was probably been there for some time. When we left, there were corpses on the streets in Buza. I saw them. They had been lying there for days. That car stopped at a crossing, and actually that's the car of pictures, and it's driving around now. That was the first time that I cried, by actually seeing those very small children inside the car, and then that man who told me to cover my head. It was a Chechnyan tank. The cannon could be seen, and actually we had seen him because I would go out every morning with Tyson. He has to pee every day. So even if there are shoots, still we have to go out because he needs to go out. And precisely that tank, actually we normally would go out at 8, but that day we went out at 7:15. Tyson was close to the door. He wanted to go out. And so I said to my husband, look at him. And then he said, okay, do go out. We didn't go out before 8 because there was curfew. So I went out and nothing. A grenade went directly to my house. They bombed again. They continuously bombed for other 15 minutes. I couldn't go up to my floor. Then I went to look for my husband and the dog, and everything was on flame. Everything got burned. I never found him again. So he died there. After this documentary, we have this book. And I'd like to start from here. Why did you feel the need to write these stories and then to delve even deeper into them with the book? So my honest answer is this. We actually haven't shown a very large chunk of the video. Sorry, we lost a long chunk of the video that was very important for me. I cried a lot. I couldn't even move. My eldest son told me that that was not going to be a problem. He told me, you did it once, you can do it again. So actually, we went there again and did the interviews again. But some of them we couldn't find. They disappeared. They are in refugee camps now. So I had just their voices. And then I asked Svetlana Alexievich what I had to do with these voices, and she replied, you have to write a book in order not to forget them, because these voices, I have always heard them in my head. And that's why I decided to write. And then, while I was writing, I met other people. I listened to new stories. And then I decided to write these stories as well. Stories that are not in the documentary. And that's how the book was conceived. So you said, well, I felt that actually that the pathways, the lives of these people would get into my life. So what does it mean that you left yourself be influenced by these people? First of all, I am very grateful to any one of them who talked to me. Some of them thought that talking to me, they could talk to me in Ukraine, and I understand Ukraine well because half of my family lives in Kiev. But they made up their mind during the meeting for some of them, for example, for Ima from Mariupol, it was not easy to talk to me. Because in the first months of the war, everything was so, they were overwhelmed with suffering and pain. And so I'm really grateful that they eventually decided to share with me their experiences, half of their life. That can be actually the largest part of her life, a very painful one. Sometimes, together with the photographers, we've been actually the first Russians they met after the beginning of the big war. So we've become enemies to them. Actually, the first Russians to whom they could speak to. That was not easy at all. But I'm really grateful to all of them. I'm grateful to all the people present in the documentary, in the film, and in the book. Some of them have become friends. Tanya, for example. We've been together. We've been working together for 3 summers, and she's really become a great friend of mine. We also share some personal things. Tanya was the first woman, the one who was talking about her husband. With some people, we now exchange emails. But actually, you know, as a journalist, you know that when you meet somebody in the most important moment of his or her life, well, you become somebody that will share that moment with him or her. And that's a responsibility. You have to be with the person. You cannot leave that person there. You cannot abandon her. That's the opposite of what actually is being said on journalists. Actually, the colder, the more objective you are, the better you are. in talking. Actually, this is what is being said about lawyers. Well, lawyers and journalists, two specific breeds. That's not the kind of journalism I practice. I've witnessed some wars, and this war has been very personal for me. As you said, I was born in the south of Russia, in a beautiful place full of sun and full of joy. And my memory goes back to the yard of my house and to my grandmother. She used to speak Ukrainian as well because she was born close to Nikolaev. So this yard with threads, with the wires and clothes hanging to be dried, waiting for our Ukrainian family to come and visit us, to spend the holidays, the summer with us. I was in Rostov in 2014, and I saw the tanks after Rostock in direction Donetsk, and I understood everything in that moment. First of all, I understood that they go there to destroy, that they were going there to destroy my childhood and the lives of the people I love. The last time we were together with my family was in 2012, when we had the European championship, soccer championship. We were in Donetsk, and it was a happy moment. We were all together, united. I could have never imagined that something like this would have happened, that a hell like this would have happened. In 2014, while I was coming back to St. Petersburg, where I was living back then, I thought that people in Russia could not accept all the things that were happening. But then I met an incredible silence, and that's why I decided to leave Russia. In 2014, I could not think of a second part of the war. But back then, I thought that if they accepted the invasion in such a silent way, without reaction, well, that could have given Putin the opportunity to start the Great War, to conquer the whole of Ukraine. And then in 2022, I decided that I wanted to quit being a journalist in a way detached from all parts. I could not be objective. I could not be, in a way, detached. So I decided to take, to stand against war. I could not stay silent. Are there any stories that struck you the most? Or maybe stories that can help us understand better what is happening? No? Now I'm working on a documentary on Donbass, on what has happened between 2014 up to 2022. Maybe this can help me understand things in a much deeper way and clearer way as well. But the stories, even the stories that I didn't manage to write in the book, they are all in my heart. All the stories come to an end. I mean, people are living they are alive today, and we really hope that they continue being alive. That's important for me. Some of them have been able to forgive, others haven't. Some of them have started a new life and they don't want to listen to things that we discuss. Others are constantly committed and engaged in their daily things. In browsing the book, and I invite you all, I urge you that you buy it. So in browsing the book, you actually meet extraordinary things given the human strength they have. We have Julia leaving with a shrapnel, with a split at the base of her skull. Then there's another mother who escaped, and she was 20-week pregnant with a small kid. And then as soon as she went out, actually she lost her husband and her small kid due to a grenade. And when the other baby was born, she said, I don't know if I can love her because things are no longer meaningful for me. I met this woman 3 months ago in Canada, and I was very struck. You asked if there were things that actually hurt me more. Before doing the documentary, I could not imagine that the victims of war can go to Russia. So the country that actually initiated the war, knowing that they actually that Russia did this. But you reminded me of Julia. Julia decided to go to Russia, and she explained me why. She has done that for a very practical and reasonable reason. She said that she will tell her kid that he's Ukrainian, and she will tell him what Russia did against his family, but she decided to go to Russia because she can speak Russian, and she can find work more quickly. After we met in Germany, there was another. But then after we met in Germany, she decided to go to Canada because she said, are you going to be the last person with whom I speak Russian? I cannot be in Germany because there's lots of Russians, lots of Ukrainians, and everything constantly reminds me of what happened. So I cannot survive here. And then 3 months ago, I met her in Toronto. And this woman told me an incredible story. When she went to Toronto, she went to a refugee center to receive some sort of aid. And she met a volunteer who would speak English perfectly. He helped her. And then they fell in love. And then she discovered that he is Russian. He's Russian. He was working for an IT company, and then he escaped from Russia because he did not want to be drafted and serve in the army. And then now they have another child, and she gave me a symbol as a gift. It's one of Irpin's symbol, because she was born in Irpin, and told me that there are two roosters in the world. That's the symbol she gave me. And she said that she would actually then start speaking Russian. That's a symptom of strength, humanity, and the possibility for somebody to accept the unacceptable. people are always surprising. They're always a secret for us. Certain things can be foreseen, others can't. What have you personally discovered of yourself during this journey, during this series of meetings that you have done? I have discovered how strong love can be. Love in general terms, love as mercy, love as the possibility to forgive. Not so much forgive somebody individually, but rather forgive the world that has hurt you so much. The world has caused so much pain. Personally, I cannot accept it. I am not like that. But I would like to become like that. Nearly all the protagonists of the book are women. Yes, they are, since the men are at war. They're on the battlefield. And then also because women actually carry a burden of the war that is sometimes invisible. So one needs to have a very, very strong strength, a big strength to do like that. We haven't chosen that. That's not something that we have chosen. However, in the former Soviet Union, throughout the entire 20th century, women have carried huge burdens on their shoulders because their men have always been away. They were either working on the fields or at war. That's actually why we don't have a choice. And I think this is something that is really very, very important to understand women in the post-Soviet era. Now I'm working another book. My mother, let me explain this to you. My mother never hugged me. I've never thought that this could be incredible because actually not even my grandmother hugged me. And then when I grew up, I understood this. I mean, that this is not something normal. Because I went to do psychotherapy. So I asked for my mother. I asked my mother because my grandmother had died in between, and my mother told me that her mother had not hugged her. And then I discovered that my grandmother's mother had been arrested when my grandmother was 7. So actually, she didn't have this experience of how a mother can hug her children. So there have been 3 or 4 or 5 generations of women who have not experienced this connection, this link between mother and father, mother and child, which is the experience of protecting everything you love. This is particularly important to understand the Russia in which mothers can sell their children due to the war, because they can sell them and win money. Because actually this stability, this lack of stability, we haven't had any stability since the beginning of the 20th century. And this stability is now given by Putin. So Putin gives them the possibility to earn money and to lose this connection forever, in my view.
Before talking about Russia and what it meant to you to flee Russia and how you see Russia changing, I was struck by what you said. We think about the wounds of the war as the wounds in the war in the battlefield, whereas a war takes away parts of the human experience, the possibility to embrace your child, the possibility to live and to put the clothes on the lines to dry, as you remembered at the beginning. So the everyday life, this is what is jeopardized and hurt by the war. So how important is it for us to understand and to realize, and how important is it to tell this kind of stories? This dimension stays away from the tales of war. We hear Putin and meeting Trump, the possible agreement, the Alaska negotiations, and the sufferings of the soldiers at the front. But what about the sufferings of all the people in the everyday life? Well, the lack of everyday life is the main feature to me. And so I tell the testimonies and the stories of normal people, of ordinary people, and the civilians being killed. This is a testimony of the world. This is a testimony of what war has done to these people against the people who might have built a new world, a peaceful world, a world full of sun, full of joy. Instead, these people are begging for clothes, used clothes. They are begging for food. They ask for the possibility for their children to study. I spoke to a Ukrainian woman, and she told me that there's a difficulty in attending school for her because she needs to use the bike to go to school. And I thought, well, maybe if you don't have a bike, if you want, we can buy a bike for you. And she answered, no, the problem is that it's not that I don't have a bike. I cannot ride a bike, and I don't want to study. I lost my life in Nikolaev, and I want to go back there. I want to go back to Nikolaev. No Ukrainian wanted to become a refugee. None of them wanted to come to Italy, although Italy is a beautiful country. Each of them, each Ukrainian, would like to have their lives back. So the experiences of a single person losing his or her life is a very important thing, I think. War never improves anything. War never makes any person better than this person was before the war. War only destroys everything. My sister, who lives in Kyiv, told me a couple of months ago that while Kyiv was being bombed, she had to decide whether to go to her father, who is very ill and cannot reach the refuge, the shelter, or whether to go with her daughter to the shelter underground. So I asked her, what did you choose? And she answered, I was seated under the table crying. So this is the experience of an ordinary person who cannot accept the rules of war. And this is a normal reaction even after 3 years of war. And we too struggle to think about how these people can work. So the subtitle of your book is the story of 24 Ukrainian and Russian persons. So all the lives involved in the war, 24 voices for those who are able to listen. It is not to be taken for granted that a person is willing or able to listen. In many cases, we decide to flee. We don't want to listen. We don't want to hear, because we don't want to run the risk of being hurt by what you're telling us. I think that we need to listen, and we need to remember everything in order not to become the people who let others change the history. History is normally written by the winner. We do not know who is going to win, which country is going to win this war. We know that there are some crazy people, but we need to fix everything. About 3 or 4 hours ago, I spoke to a very nice Ukrainian girl. She told me that this war is more fixed, so to say, when it comes to people, the people who can fix for the future processes. And this is also one of the reasons why I decided to write these stories. We hope that there will be future trials, and I wanted to have testimonies with no propaganda, with no changes that may be useful for that specific moment and for the propaganda. So we were talking about your double belonging, so to say. So you belong both to Russia and to Ukraine because you have some of your family in Ukraine. It means for you having a double pain, but my pain is not bigger than the pain of the Ukrainians. That's for sure. But how much did it cost to you seeing Russia, fleeing Russia and seeing how Russia is changing? Well, I never think that I had to leave Russia, as I had to leave a TV channel where I was working in 2012. I left that channel willingly. I have never been sad about that choice. However, I always go, I continue to attend Russia. Although I am an enemy of the state, I'm a foreign agent. She was declared a foreign agent, and thereby therefore she has lots of restrictions when she manages to go back to Russia. Is it right? Yes, that's right. But this is my job. This is my task. I have to see with my own eyes how my country is changing. This is of paramount importance to me. I'm always asked, do all Russians support Putin and the war? This is a question I hear many times. It's become quite difficult after 3.5 years to give an answer to that question, because you need to bear in mind that there's an incredible fear. Fear is the king in Russia. Fear is reigning in Russia now. You cannot understand whether a person really shares Putin's ideas willingly or just because this person is afraid of possible consequences. Today in Russia, my mom cannot watch my videos because all the information sites are blocked. Some of these sites have become dangerous, so you cannot watch them. So people are afraid of speaking in Russia. They are afraid of speaking on the phone. They are afraid of looking for information, and they are afraid of sharing ideas. So we do not know really how many people would go against Putin. I do not expect real protests in Russia, but I can tell you that in Russia today, over 3,000 political prisoners are being detained. Well, not really because they are political prisoners, not because they are sharing the ideas of one political party or another political party, but just because they are against the policy and politics which is based on fear. So one of them went to a road with a white sheet of paper with no writing on it, Another person, another woman, took part in a silent meeting, and she had a writing reading "No to War." A girl in Samara prepared the sign of peace using aubergines. She was arrested and she was condemned to 5.5 years in prison. A person in St. Petersburg, a teacher, said to the students that wars are initiated by stupid idiots and negotiations cannot be initiated. She was condemned to 7 years imprisonment. Another teacher rejected to repeat a lie written down by the propaganda supporters, and she was condemned to 3 years imprisonment. One of these enemies of the state is one of my best friends, Jenny Berkovich. You sent us a couple of pictures of your friend. Can we show these pictures? This is the latest picture that was taken of this friend of mine 4 days ago. She now weighs 39 kilos. At the beginning of the trial, she weighed 50 kilos. Her guilt is that she did not pretend that nothing was happening. She kept on writing her poems, and she kept on living with the awareness that the war was being waged, that Russia initiated the war. She was condemned to 7.5 years of imprisonment because of this accusation. She was accused of having supported terrorism just because she's writing poems. Zhenya has 2 adoptive kids. One of them suffers from a very serious mental illness. Zhenya had 2 grandmothers. One of them died, and Zhenya was not allowed to say goodbye to her grandmother. The other one is aged 96. She cannot walk, and she's very sick. Twice a month, Zhenya is given the possibility to call them on the phone. She only has 5 minutes to talk to them. 5 minutes is the time you need to hear your grandmother saying, "Zhenya, I cannot hear you," and then they cry. Zhenya is a political prisoner, or is she rather a conscience prisoner? Zhenya, I think, is dying. And this is also our responsibility, and we need help. Maybe it could be possible to make an exchange, to have someone in exchange for Zhenya so that she has the possibility to leave the country. There is no other possibility to help her. This is one of the answers to your question. I try and go to Russia anytime I can because I want to see how the country is changing. It's important for me to report it and to tell the world how Russia is changing. Do you feel responsible? I certainly do feel responsible. What's your responsibility? Maybe the responsibility that you're feeling is probably the same responsibility which we should feel. I feel in a certain way linked to what's happening, or at least I feel the desire to do something. Responsibility and the sense of guilt is something very personal. Not everybody should feel responsible or guilty for something. I feel responsible, and I also feel guilty because I was a journalist. I am not an ordinary person in the sense that many people know me. I, of course, did whatever I could, but maybe I could have done more. This happened 2 or 3 years after the beginning of the invasion, we went to Berlin with my kids. We were on holiday, and we were passing through a protest against Putin and Russia. And that was the moment in which I cried. And my son asked me, "Why are you crying, Mom? You did whatever you could. You've always been against Putin. We left Russia. Why are you crying?" And I answered, "Maybe I'm crying because I might have done more than what I did. And I feel so sorry to leave you a world which is far worse than the world I received when I was young, very young." And this is a very big feeling of guilt on my part, that I cannot amend the world, and I feel guilty about it. So I think that this feeling, in a way or another, is a feeling that is shared by all of us. Maybe some of us feel more or less guilty. I don't know what we could do to help a person such as Genia, you were mentioning earlier. But I know that all of us wish to know what each of us could do to confront such a situation. In the documentary and in the book, at a certain point, you ask the question about what you expect from the future, how it is possible to amend the situation that we are witnessing. Where can we start? Where is it possible to start again? I think that each of us should restart from his or herself. I need to restart from myself. This is a very important experience to me. When Tanya, with her kids, arrived to us for the first time, and that was the first summer we spent together. And that was a very important experience for our kids, for our boys and girls. My kids, of course, they got to know about the war, but they did not see the bombs. They did not hear the sound of the bombs. They didn't have to leave their home in a haste. They did not suffer so much. This is a truth. So I saw how Tanya's kids taught my children every day, day after day, and that was a painful experience. It's been a painful experience. After several days, my daughter, who was in love with Tanya's son, proposed Dania, when you're going to have problems with your own house, maybe your house will be destroyed by the bombs, come to me. Come to me. I will give you whatever I have. I will give you all that I have. I will give you my bed. I will take you to my school. So he started crying. And he said, "I don't want to lose my house. I hate all of you. Why do you want to bomb my house?" And she understood that she had said something wrong. So she closed the door and she wrote on the leg, "Please do not support Russia and do not bomb Dania's house. I want Dania to continue living." We cried so much with Dania, and we tried to explain. And at the end, everybody was crying. And then Dania said something that was incredible to me. But it was a very humane thing. She said that she didn't want the events that happened to her to happen to other people. This is the highest level of mercy that I can think about. I wasn't supposed to share this story with you, but I will tell Dania tonight that I told you about this story. And I will tell her what happened after I shared this story with you. Thank you. She too speaks Italian, so she heard you and she understood what you said. She doesn't speak Italian. One of the things that impresses me about the book is the use of certain words, such as mercy, as you said, and also the word forgiveness. It is also one of your questions. Will you ever be able to forgive us? And you include yourself in the Russian people, so that these words are used in a very delicate way. We often use this kind of words hastily, without thinking about the real meaning. I would like to show you the second video that we wanted to show you. So let's show the video. I don't know what will happen in the future. I hope that Ukraine will still be there, and I hope that I will be able to get back home. If Russia wins, I will not go back to Ukraine. I cannot live amidst those people who destroyed my house, killing a lot of people, especially kids. I cannot live in such a place. No, I cannot. Despite everything, if Ukraine would be there, even though I don't have anyone to go back to, I will go back. If I manage to, I will go back to Ukraine. If it's going to be another country or a Russian country, I will not go back. Even though I had the chance to go. So thank you for liberating us. Do you have strong hatred? I do not normally hate anybody. I feel lots of rancor, lots of pain, something broke. But then you look at things and you feel even worse. Everything can be forgiven. Everything can be forgiven. The real question is, what are we going to learn from all this? The question is not the cause, it is the effect. We cannot choose our neighbors. This is what matters. I don't want them to feel what we felt. I don't want them to be in the same situation that we lived. I want them to understand, and that I want them to admit they did something wrong, and they were wrong. I don't want them to feel what we have felt. So as you see, forgiveness needs time. It takes time. And recognizing the reality is also something that is needed. So recognizing the others as others, the delicacy, the delicate attitude you used in your book is something which is very much needed in this moment. Otherwise, we cannot understand where we can start to heal the wounds. And we also need something else, which can be seen in the documentary and in the book as well. This is not some part of the video you've lost. I would like to show you the last video, and then I will ask you the last but one question or the last question. We will see. Are you crying a lot now? From time to time, I cry. But I don't want my daughter to see me. When I think about my past, when I think about my memories, I sit down, I cry, and everything passes. I try and control myself. I have a friend here in Poland. I don't know in which city. I have her GPS, and she has my GPS. So we know where we are. We talk on the phone, but we've never met yet. Her husband is from Hejum, and she doesn't know what happened to him. We do not know what happened to the father of my stepson. I try to distract myself by watching a movie, or I cook some food, I clean the house. In those moments, I manage to turn off my brain. And I manage not to think because I still have my parents there. I'm very much worried. I call them anytime I want. So please stop talking about this now. What should we talk about? Beautiful things. Can we talk about our house? So that kid you saw, this is Alexandra, her mom. She didn't want to talk Russian. She didn't want to speak Russian. Well, it was a situation. It was a very peculiar situation. She prepared lunch. So she cooked lunch, and then she told us, "I am sorry, but I cannot share the lunch with you." And in the end, she gave us all the food that she had prepared. I cannot explain this mixture of feelings that we can have. As for the sentence that Katya said, when Katya said, let's talk about beautiful things, it's not because she's naive. She desires, she wishes to think and to talk about beautiful things. It is a desire for good things. Maybe this is the most important point that may be used as a leverage to rebuild. What's your opinion about that? Well, I think that love is the most important thing in the world. Love in the broadest sense of the word. Love in the sense of humanity, God. Love as strength, and the strength to keep living, to continue living. In our time,
Speranza e fare.
It is true, it is difficult to have the strength to live. I don't think we have the hope for a better future.
Almeno.
But at least we have love. And I think with love we can gradually continue. Thank you very much. Sorry for my Italian. Thank you very much, Katya, for many reasons. Thanks for the fact that you made us understand that narrations and the reports by others are very important. That it is important to step into other people's feet to truly understand their lives. And thanks also for using them in Italian. I mean, you did a sacrifice. I hope that my Italian teacher will never listen to this. But there's actually another reason I would like to thank you. I think that the new bricks we need to build in the deserts, there are some bricks which are particularly valuable, and they are the ones that we need to rebuild bridges. So points where people can meet and find themselves again. I am personally truly grateful to you because I think that your work consists precisely in creating this type of bridge of bricks, and I think you are exactly this. Thank you very much, Katia. Thank you, Davide. Thanks to you all. Allow me to remind you that to build bridges, we also need to build the meeting. So if we can meet people like Katarina, it's because the Rimini meeting exists, and in order for the Rimini meeting to exist, we need the collaboration and the help of everybody. So I'd like to kindly ask you to donate to the Rimini meeting, because the Rimini meeting needs that. So there are lots of counters where you can donate to the Rimini meeting. It's the Dona Ora counters with the red heart. Please leave your contributions so that beautiful encounters we've just had to experience this evening can continue to take place. Thank you very much and enjoy your evening.
È un luogo che genera dialogo,
Qualcuno che si impegna, che si
che
batte.
approfondisce la conoscenza e sostiene la fiducia. È un crocevia dove si incontra chi desidera il vero, il bello, il giusto e il bene. È una testimonianza di speranza nel cuore ferito del presente. E tutto questo
Proporre con la propria vita
esiste anche grazie a te.